Okay, guys, let's talk about Ulysses S. Grant. First of all, we have the 1868 presidential election. As you can see, Republican blue is Grant, Democrat is Seymour, and red. You can look at the blue-red there and see pretty much what the outcome was. Pay close attention to some of the electoral votes as well, please. Now, the Ulysses S. Grant administration, this is called the era of good stealings. Ulysses S. Grant, Lee surrendered to Grant at the end of the Civil War. Grant is a war hero. A lot of information about Grant. He's certainly worth the Google search. He's certainly worth some research there. Read a few biographical sketches of him. Yes, he was considered a drunk. In some aspects of business, he was considered a failure. But he was 18th President of the United States, 1869 to 1877. He is a symbol of Union victory, a war hero. His slogan was, "Let us have peace." And he had celebrity status, and he embraced it as well. His presidency was characterized by loose morality and scandal. Now, he was not directly involved in many of these scandals, but he also didn't stop it. Now, with regard to loose morality, what you have at the end of any wartime is this period of questionable morality, or this period of fun, nonchalant, we're bulletproof type idea. So I pulled from whitehouse.gov about the presidents. After retiring from the presidency, Grant became a partner in a financial firm, which went bankrupt. About that time, he learned that he had cancer of the throat. He started writing his recollections to pay off his debts and provide for his family, racing against death to produce a memoir that ultimately earned nearly $450,000. Soon after completing the last page in 1885, he died. Just a little tidbit of information there about Grant, because we're certainly going to be talking about several other aspects related to his presidency. Now, scandals during the Grant administration, we have Fisk, gold, and Black Friday, basically this gold hoarding that was taking place there, and a economical panic. We also have Boss Tweed and Tammany Hall. Basically, Boss Tweed ran a political machine, the Tammany Hall scheme. He controlled politics in New York. He was brought down by Samuel Tilden and Thomas Nast. I'll give you a little bit more about this in just a moment. We also have the whiskey ring. Treasury Department officials took bribes to avoid collecting excise taxes. The salary grab that comes along here, doubling the salary of the president and giving Congress a 50% raise. I want you to think about back to civics and economics, which amendment dealt with this. Okay, Credit Mobilier scandal, basically siphoning off profits of the Transcontinental Railroad construction. We'll look at each of these. First of all, the Tweed Ring in New York City. William Marcy Tweed, Tammany Hall's political machine. He's going to control politics in New York. And we have Tilden, who's going to come up in the election campaign coming up in a few years. An attorney who's trying to bring down the Tweed Ring, and also Thomas Nast. He is a political cartoonist, and basically Tweed, Mr. Wood makes a reference of it being like Scooby-Doo if it wasn't for those meddling kids. Well, if it wasn't for the meddling Thomas Nast, the Tweed Ring may not have been brought down. If you think about it, he's drawing pictures. And in a population that is not 100% literate, those pictures can really bring about what is going on in politics and the negative control that Tweed had. So Nast and Tilden are the ones who are able to bring them down as they are controlling politics, funneling money, and all kinds of negative aspects of controlling government in New York City. Credit Mobilier. I pulled this from a Reader's Companion to American History. Basically, this is taking profits from the Transcontinental Railroad and pocketing that money. It's just a scandal that was caught up there. 1872, 1873 damaged the careers of several Gilded Age politicians. Now, this Gilded Age that's gold covered, basically you have a lot of junk going on in society and in politics and in government, everything, but everything is gold covered in a sense of, hey, it looks like we're doing better. We'll talk a lot more about Gilded Age later. But major stockholders, Union Pacific Railroad, they formed this company. Credit Mobilier of America gave its contracts to build the railroad and sold shares to the construction to influential congressmen. A little conflict of interest there. But it was quite a lucrative deal for them. They were able to help themselves with various subsidies and railroad construction, and they didn't pay much attention to expenses. I mean, hey, they're making huge profits. And so the New York Sun breaks the story. There's an investigation. House censors some of its individuals, and a lot of people are implicated in this. It showed how corruption was part of politics and the links that big business, railroad industry, and the economic interest would, how far they would go to just guarantee profits and make money. And, how some members of government were involved as well. Now, we have a panic of 1873. It's going to be the worst panic to date. This is going to be economic hardship for this time. More than 500 businesses fail. Now, this is a time period post-war. Any post-war period, you see some economic hardship. You see some post-war depression behavior that's taking place. Part of this one is over a currency controversy and the currency issues that were at stake here. Do we use greenbacks? Do we use gold? Do we bring in silver? What do we want to do? So basically, one of the causes is over-speculation. Now, it raises the money question. Debtors are seeking inflationary monetary policy by continuing circulation of greenbacks. Farmers are going to support this. Increase that circulation, at least make the money available, even if it is less valuable. Businessmen, creditors, intellectuals, they're supporting the hard money and also not inflationary money, not just continuing the circulation and increasing the greenbacks. So 1875, we end up with a Specie Redemption Act that's going to take place. And basically, this is the idea that government would begin redeeming greenbacks for gold. And this practice had been suspended in the 1873 panic. And so they had a plan for this. 1876, you have a Greenback Party forms, and they make a lot of gains in congressional races, and they form out of this panic of 1873. Again, third party, they're going to bring some issues to the forefront for government. Now, the solution to the panic: farmers and debtors favoring the currency, inflationary policy, printing the greenbacks, maybe even going to silver. We'll talk about the populist movement coming up. That money is easier to get, even if the value is not there. Your businesses and creditors are going to just hold your course. They favor a stable currency and keeping that value simple. Currency remains constant over time. Eventually, the government and the currency and the economics will recover. Again, the 1875 Resumption Act and the kind of the redemptionary policy there. Redeem those greenbacks for gold. Then the government was prepared for a rush. They actually bought, sold, did everything they could to get $100 million in gold reserves, anticipating a run on this of people wanting to trade in their greenbacks for gold. Thinking of this, it would spur an economic recovery. Confidence would be restored in the government and the economy, and greenbacks were convenient. The whole idea, it just never happened. The government was already rebounding. And let's face it, it's a little easier to carry around paper money. So, Northern support for the whole Reconstruction process is really beginning to wane here. You have the grantism and the corruption, this celebrity that's in office, and people are getting fed up. Panic of 1873, we have a 6-year depression, economic hardship, people are getting fed up. There's concern over westward expansion and Indian wars. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But again, people are fed up. The key monetary issues: Should the government retire $432 million worth of greenbacks that were issued during the Civil War, or should war bonds be paid back in specie or greenbacks? What should happen there? So Northern support is really kind of unbalanced at this time. So we have the 1876 presidential tickets. We have Hayes versus Tilden, and quite a corrupt little campaign there. Basically, 1876 election, there's no clear winner at first. You have Tilden, the Democrat. He's from New York, a reformer. You have Rutherford Hayes from Ohio, governor. At issue, voter irregularities. South Carolina, Florida, Louisiana. Both candidates are accused of cheating. Both candidates claim victory. A commission on is created to seek a resolution. This is going to be the internal electoral commission at this point. We have 7 Democrats, 7 Republicans, and 1 independent. And basically, your independent ends up a little pressured and resigns. The final commission was 7 Democrats, 8 Republicans. The solution is going to be a compromise of 1877, bringing an end to Reconstruction. Hayes prevails in the election. He becomes president. Northerners and Republicans extremely happy over this. Okay, and the military occupation of the South is going to end. Look at how split these votes were. Just look at the numbers. Red and blue, pretty balanced there. So what we have is this idea. Was there a corrupt bargain? Is this corrupt bargain part 2? Political crisis of 1877, here we come. Basically, it comes down to a deal was made. And with Hayes' election, Reconstruction is over. Military occupation of the South ends. The white Southerners are happy about this. The rights of former slaves, not really protected, so that's an issue. But occupation is over. So historians believe that Tilden probably could not have ended Reconstruction. I don't know either way. It's certainly worth some research. You have some civil service reform that takes place with new slogans bouncing in, and some house cleaning that takes place in government positions. Hayes is going to come in and try to take care of some of that corruption. We'll see how far he gets. He does have to deal with the railway strikes. We'll talk about some economic hardship there. He has to call out troops to put that down. And then we have a resurgence of nativist sentiment that's going to take place in the late 1800s. Hayes will not be renominated in 1880. But we will be revisiting all of these aspects that take place in the late 1800s. Make sure you check out Wood's video on Reconstruction. Finish up your DBQ if you have not. And check back because we're going to have some more videos coming soon. Thanks a lot.